You said something. One of the articles like kind of stromostic, something. You said something weird, like, "Wow, this guy thought he was slow in school. He was actually pretty smart." You know. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Noti Lounge. I'm your host, Troy Smith. I'm here with my man, Sammy Ortiz, aka Uncle Sammy. And I'm not talking about Uncle Sam that you got to pay bills to. I'm just talking about Uncle Sam that you appreciate and love. You know. So welcome, Uncle Sammy.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Definitely. So, as you all know, the Noti Lounge stands for not overthinking it. And I was, and we're going to change the format just a tad bit. Not really. Let me back up. We're not really changing the format because we're still talking to CEOs and entrepreneurs and about how they're not overthinking their ideas. And Sammy is an entrepreneur and a CEO himself and a founder, but most of all, also he's a pastor too, and he's a family man. So I want to get his take while we're on this whole quarantine, COVID-19, aka whatever you want to fill in the blank with, staying in the house. Gained a couple pounds or not. I don't know about you, but man, you know, I already know the face filling up. You can see that. Yeah. Besides that, but man, hey, welcome, Sammy. Sammy, so tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how I can tell you how we met. We met at the church and we got to know each other through ministry stuff like that. I come up to your house plenty of times in the past when I was in college at Tennessee State, eat tons of Loretta red beans and rice. You know, so tell a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, man. I am originally from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Came to the States when I was 4 years old after my dad got back from Vietnam. Landed in Fort Polk, Louisiana. I didn't know nothing about no Cajuns coming from Puerto Rico, but
they probably thought you was one of them, huh?
Bro, I know, bro. I actually the school I went to kindergarten in Fort Polk or Louisiana, and I was the whitest. I was the whitest kid in my school,
and what's crazy is that you would think they white, they actually black people.
They were black, bro. They were black.
Yeah.
They were black on a whole nother level.
Right, but then also those folks though, I know some people that they actually may look lighter and they actually be black folk themselves. So it's just interesting down there. Creole is something else.
Bro. Creole, it is, bro. It is. Yeah. But just to say that I was obviously a little chocolate baby coming from Puerto Rico, and if I was white. If I was white in that school, you know that them fools were. Yeah,
there's some blue folk in there. I got you, man.
But no, man, I'm an Army brat. I'm an Army vet. I'm a pastor. Been pastoring now. We're going on 29 years, and I'm being told not to talk so loud. But this is the dilemma of being on quarantine when everybody's working from the house.
I'm
the founder and CEO of YES, which stands for Young Entrepreneurial Students. And as far as pastoring goes, and these days, I'm leading MicroChurches, and so all of the above, having fun with all of those things that I'm doing, and constantly pivoting and trying to figure out where the Lord is going, so I can follow.
And that's why I'm glad I brought you on here, because when I texted you the other day and said, hey, we got to talk about the new direction of the church stuff. And you had two nice articles, which we're going to get to. And the reason, and also what I like about your articles though too, Sam, is that they're short and they're concise and they get to the point. Last thing you want to do is first thing I look at when I'm scrolling up and down, I look to the sidebar and see how long the sidebar is or how small it is. To let me know how much reading I got to do.
Yeah, bro. Listen, I got ADHD. I can't be reading no thesis.
Yeah. So let me ask you about the YES. Then let's go to YES. What made you actually want to go to impacting young people in a sense? What was the drive behind that? Because your kids are all grown now, so right?
They are. Yeah, I don't have a dog in the fight anymore because my kids are grown. My daughter just graduated with her master's in social work, and
wow,
my son is doing land surveying. And so they're both.
I just remember when they was young, man. I just remember when they was little. When I just come over there with my cutoff shorts and t-shirt, go right out of college and just eating food up. And they was around the table. They were like 9 or 10 years old, man.
Well, yeah, I think Kayla was 10 or 9. She was either 9 or 10, and Josh was 4.
Right.
And, wow. So they're grown, bro. 26 and 22.
Wow.
But as far as YES is concerned, my wife and I went to this place called Dade City, which is about 20 minutes from where we live. And we realized that the funds, the beautification funds that make it downtown weren't making it to Lock Street. It looked like, It's a rural area, but when you go to to compare, you go to an urban area, you can tell that urban area isn't getting the same funding as the downtown area is,
Right.
and so it bothered me, and so I canvassed the community for a year, asked the community itself, what is it that is your biggest need, and it came about that young people were the most underserved, and you know, on the day that we went to that Kumquat festival, the festival that led me to Lock Street, I felt a burden immediately that the Lord wanted me to do something. I just didn't know what. And that's why I canvassed the community to find out from the community what they need, as opposed to coming in like a savior with a savior complex.
Hold on, though. But you said you canvassed the community, bro. You just said that the place looked rough.
Yeah.
And it looked like you didn't want to walk through it, and you up there walking through it, canvassing the place, talking to people.
Yeah,
man,
bro.
You thugging.
Well, bro, bro, listen, being that the predominant population is either Latino, either from Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, places like that, Central America, and then on the other side, it's African Americans. Bro, I fit right in, bro.
You fit right in, though. See,
I fit right in. Look at you. I live in bougie Wesley Chapel, but
But now, Dade City the same as Dade County?
No. Dade County is like down by Miami. Dade City is North Florida, north of Tampa Bay. So it's predominantly, I would say, migrant workers. The community is consistent of migrant workers, and African Americans that live, there in times that were rough.
Yeah. I got you. So you went out there and started making some change and said, man, I want to see some funding happen out here, impact these young people. Because your story, though, even though you may be an Army brat, right? Army brat, that's the branch you was part of. But education wasn't your easiest thing either, though. You tell them about that GPA, dog.
Yeah, bro. Listen, I got traumatized in kindergarten. I didn't speak a lick of English when I got here to the States, mainland. And in kindergarten, my teacher gave us an assignment. I didn't understand it because I didn't speak any English. They didn't have no ESOL. They didn't have no English speakers of other languages.
Right.
No ELL, no English language learners. So she assumed that I was copying. And so she slapped me on the back, yanked me from my arm, and threw me on a sleeping mat. And I remember at 5 years old in kindergarten, internally, oh, bro, it was trauma. It was traumatic. I was like, I better learn English, because if not, I'm gonna be getting beat for the rest of my life.
Every day. Did you go home and tell your parents about that? Or?
Yeah, I don't know what I did, bro. Because back in those days, there was capital punishment allowed in those schools. Oh, and so I don't know what I told them. I know I told them that school was canceled every day because I didn't like going.
School was canceled.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, they said we didn't have to come back.
You had to go to school.
So yeah, but because of the fact that most of my teachers were white women, I did not do well in school. I graduated from high school with a 1.6 GPA.
1.6.
So it's a miracle that I ever got into college. Miracle that I ever got into seminary. And so it's no telling what would have happened had I not had that traumatic experience, and what could have happened to me educationally had I not experienced that kind of trauma in the education system. To me, education meant, corporal punishment.
Right.
But there's a sense of humor in all of this, because I got traumatized by a white teacher. And now I get loving from a white teacher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's your wife.
So that which the devil tried to harm me with, the Lord is using to heal.
Look at that. Hey, man, go on, preacher. Go on, preacher. Look at you.
Shaka Khan, let me rock you.
Well, man, you're a trip. But I'm just saying, so with that dramatization that happened, you start making 1 point whatever in school. And now in your articles, what you're going to get to, you use words I can't even pronounce without having to go through the source or something. You said something in one of the articles, like kind of stramastic or something. You said something weird, like, wow, this guy thought he was slow in school. He was actually pretty smart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't get a low GPA because I was dumb. I got a low GPA because
you didn't want to go to school no more.
Well, I didn't trust the people that were teaching me. You get traumatized by somebody, you ain't going to be trusting them.
Well, let's stay on that then, right? So how do you developing the trust with these kids you're working with now, because they're actually looking for someone they can trust. Sometimes their homes may not be the best place for them to be, right? But then you're coming along and telling them, hey, I want to show you a better way. You're showing people like, hey, let's use those gifts and skills you have to maybe monetize that possibly, right? That's
Right.
what you're doing with that.
Well, I think if anything, I want to be the young people who I wanted somebody to be for me. And, a lot of times, there are deficits in our lives, not because of where we live, but because sometimes people aren't willing to put themselves in your shoes. And so I now want to be the person to someone else that I needed somebody to be for me.
Right.
And,
Gotcha.
growing up, I didn't, I only had 3 male teachers my whole life, and only 2 of them were men of color. And they made a big impact on my life, especially like my sixth grade teacher was a man of color. I can't remember his name, but when I got to 10th grade, I had a teacher named Mr. Rashid, Puerto Rican brother, that, I was like, wow. I mean,
a Puerto Rican brother with the name Rashid.
Yeah. I think he converted.
Was he Muslim?
Yeah, he converted.
He
to Islam.
Muslim.
That's all right, brother. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's good. I mean,
but I got to see me in somebody, and we're all attracted to what we see. I don't know, like you and I'm sure we walk into a room and we canvass the room. I want to see where am I? I just want to see where am I so I can do the head nod. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that's how you need to do the head nod, little peace sign or something.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I see you. I see you.
Yeah, I see you. That's the one thing, man. You don't even have to know the person.
No.
Even it doesn't matter. It's just that universal, acknowledgement, like what's good. Like, oh man, you know how we do,
Exactly. And we may not be living the same life. We may not be living the same circumstances or in the same situations, but at least we can identify with look, that brother's got as much or maybe a little bit more melanin than me, but we got more melanin than everybody else in the room.
Right. But what's interesting though, I never knew, like I told you this before, that your wife was even white, though. The whole time I've known you, I thought she was Spanish descent as well. And you're like, nah, man, she white as can be. And I did not know that, man, at all.
Listen, bro, she been hanging around. She been
that flavor, huh?
Bro, look, she been getting that adobo for since we were 17 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Adobo. You a trip. But man, so let's get to the fact that why I wanted you to be on for sure, though, man, is that the direction with the Corona and all the other stuff that's going on right now, this pandemic.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually get your take on the new direction the church is going to, which is something you've been on for a minute, with the micro church and home, church at your house. I mean, I remember you telling me about this a couple of years back.
Bro,
what direction you were going with it.
We've been doing this for over 5 years.
Right.
And something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. As a traditional pastor, I wanted to take the church in the direction of being either a home church or a micro church. There's so many names for it these days. I like the word micro church because something happens when you can whittle a crowd down to the place where the gospel can be talked about, conversed. In a normal or a traditional setting, most times people they don't have the opportunities to ask questions. They don't have, the pastor could be speaking above their head, using all kinds, like you said, using all kinds of terms that folks don't understand.
Right.
And it doesn't give for the opportunity to learn. And discipleship is learning. As a disciple, I'm learning how to follow Jesus. And as a disciple maker, I'm teaching others how to follow Jesus. And if we don't give the room for people to learn, then they're just hearing words.
Right. And it's probably you really, just like, back in the day, we're familiar with cell groups and life, all that stuff in the new term life groups. But now it all makes sense now in regards to, it's really about you can really touch someone and actually inspire and impact somebody in a smaller setting than on if you go to the larger church, you can't really get to know everybody. Right. No. So they said they had those cell groups like you had in your article, the microism, right? Or was it micro? It's a small representation of a larger thing.
Right.
Right. So that makes sense now where it's all going to. But man, people are so weirded out because, especially if you're old school church goer where it's all about going to church 18 times a day, for all Sunday or whatever it may be. But now I guess now you got to be accountable to people you talk to, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. And
because it's smaller.
Well, yeah. And I think that, because I've pastored both. And so what happens in a large setting is that it's almost like You go, you have either a Sunday morning mentality, or like,
Right.
you live in the South, so Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Saturday.
right. But
Yeah.
I don't think it really leans for relationships. And then ministry is basically whittled down to, a brother in the parking lot, somebody doing children's
Mhm.
church, somebody handing you a bulletin. But I think that, it really limits to where only the person up on the stage, maybe the song people, the praise team, only a few people get to do the ministry, and everybody else basically just watches. They're spectators, and that's not ideal if we're all called to make disciples, as it says in Matthew, chapter 28, 18 through 20. Then how is only six people ministering in a service leaning for me to go make disciples? And so I think that we need to do something, which is why we are micro. We expect everybody to make disciples. Matter of fact, the expectation at Restoration Church is that everybody that comes here is expected to start their own micro church. And
Mhm.
if they go, we don't want to do that. Well, I'm like, look, there's about 10,000 churches, here in the Tampa Bay area. And I'm being facetious when I say that, but
Mhm.
I'll help you find one. Because if all you want to do is go sit and just pay your money, and, this be like, some country club, then I'll help you find one.
Yeah. I think what if the people just afraid of the term church when it's basically just a Bible study? That's
Well,
basically what you end up doing. Like you having a Bible study in your house or wherever.
yeah.
And it's not
Well,
really it's just term church. People get afraid, like, I don't want to start my own church. Well, just it's not a church, it's a Bible study.
Well, for us, we actually we identify as a church, because for us,
Okay.
church is made up of three irreducible minimums for us. One is worship. Do we worship
Mhm.
Jesus? And the worship is not singing songs.
Uh-huh.
Worship is, are we giving Jesus the worth that he has deserved? And do we worship him because of his worth?
Mhm.
And we worship in the word, we worship in prayer, we worship in gathering together, we worship in how we hold each other accountable, we worship in surrendering and submitting our lives to Jesus. And that's something that happens in the context of community. So worship, community. And we have to be in community, because none of us grows by ourselves. There's just no way that we can grow in our maturity or our walk with the Lord if we don't have other people helping us mature. That's just
Mhm.
impossible. Like, you got kids.
Right.
Your kids,
Yeah.
your wife didn't have babies and be like, all right, guys, I done birthed you, and here's the hospital, and I hope y'all make it for the rest of your lives and all that.
Yeah. I hope y'all make it. Yeah.
So that, so we church, when it's broken down, is a community that worships together and then is on mission together. And when
Okay.
we say mission, like, yes, for us is a mission. We are making
Mhm.
Jesus known through the context of entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship falls behind us making Jesus known.
Mhm.
So for
Mhm.
us, if a church has those three elements, worship, community, and mission, it's a church. When it has only two of those, it's not a church. When it only has one of those, it's not a church. It has to have all three for it to be classified a church, as far as we are concerned. And so it's not a Bible study, because anybody can do a Bible study.
Mhm.
But when you put the element of community and worship and mission together, that for us says, okay, we are a church of Jesus Christ, not of Latter-day Saints, but of Jesus
Mhm.
Christ, that is
Mhm.
on mission as we serve in community together.
Got it. So let's lead into that article about micro is the new macro, right? And you
Mhm.
talking about how you just basically keeping it simple.
Bro,
And
we're
you
making
talk about
it cool.
Vince Lombardi talking about this is a football.
Yeah, brother.
And you said you just wish you was in the room to see how their face look, because I could think about it too. Imagine what their faces look like. Like, this dude, with grown men, we know what the heck a football is,
You
but
know,
sometimes it's time to go back to the basics, right?
bro, it is the basics. I think a lot of people are always taught. I hear these things, and for me, it's a pet peeve of, man, I want to go deep. You want to go deep into what?
Mm-hmm.
This is the simplicity of the gospel. First Corinthians
Yeah.
15. Jesus died, he was buried, and he was raised again. That's the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
What deeper you
Yeah.
need? You don't
Yeah.
need no snorkel gear. You don't need no scuba gear. That's about as deep. You can't get any deeper than that, because if Jesus
Right.
died, we still be in our sins. If he wasn't raised,
Yeah.
then what hope do we have if he didn't die and he wasn't raised?
Uh-huh. So when people say, man, I want to go deeper though, man, I ain't getting fed enough, bro. I need some more deepness. You know what I'm saying? You like, dude, what we Jesus died, right?
Bro,
Jesus, Lord and Savior, right?
bro, I mean, that's it. And the people that like, I'm not getting fed. Look, feed yourself.
See, that's what I think was going on right now. People, you got to actually now literally make your own plate.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about in Timothy, right? It's about, hey, you supposed to be eating some meat right now. You still drinking milk.
Well, come on. Now, look, man, ain't nothing wrong with no milk to wash
Yeah,
down.
ain't nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
But most people don't even know how to get milk. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that we have complicated things so much. We have to
Mhm.
have all these things. And, church on March 15th, something happened where every church, in my opinion, became a micro church. Although I do
Mhm.
see some brothers getting on there and now trying to be the grand poobahs of,
Yeah.
of, uh,
Yeah.
of online church, which
Right.
now they, instead of counting how many people are in, it's how many people are online watching you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, anybody can watch. Anybody can
Mhm.
watch. But it's not about who watches. And that's the thing. We got so many spectators, but not a lot of active participants going out and preaching the gospel, living the gospel so that other people can go, man, you know what? This brother is different. This sister's different. Yeah, for me, the Bible says that we should live lives that are questionable. In other words, people should come to us and go, "Man, there's something about you that's so different. What is it that you put your hope in?" And at that
Right.
point, when they ask us, we can say, "Look, I put my hope in Jesus." But if we don't live, and I'm doing quotation marks,
Mhm.
questionable lives, and we living like everybody else, they're never going to come and ask us, what is our hope? And that's what we should be waiting for. But we need to be living lives to make people go, man, this brother lives or this sister lives by something completely different than I do. And holiness,
Mhm.
the difference is holiness. We've been set apart by the Lord. Now, when I say holiness, I'm not talking about wearing a bun and no makeup. I'm talking about
Yeah.
this holiness that separates you because God is holy and he separated you unto himself. And now he has made you holy because of what Jesus did for us.
Mhm.
And that's what makes the difference, not fog machines. You see, we done remove the glory for fog machines.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
razzle dazzle people with concerts and light shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, the brother with the tightest skinny jeans is the only one that can preach the message. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I mean, so we've made this thing a mockery. I think that
Uh-huh.
if Jesus walked into some churches today, that brother would be flipping tables over.
Mhm. I mean, that's but then what now?
Don't get me
Don't
going.
get you going. But so what's interesting that you said that it's all about how you say it, right? So how you said that people should be living questionable lives. That's more of a you gave that if you could have seen your face, the expression would have shown that questionable meaning in a good way. There's a
Exactly.
lot of people using. There's a lot of people using that's doing questionable lives.
Oh
Like
yeah.
people like, oh man, you living something totally different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got something that's going on that's totally different than what I've seen. So
Exactly. And if people would see there's got to be a hook. I think
yeah,
that I don't think that living a questionable life in the way I say it. Some people are going to read that or hear that and be like, "Wait, what's he talking about?" Somebody
yeah.
get caught in somewhere with
You
that.
know what? That might be a good headliner where I can get people to listen and look at it. Live a
Brother,
questionable life.
bro, I've
Are you
preached
living a
that message.
questionable life?
I've preached that message, bro. People, they come in thinking, man, this brother gonna be talking all kinds of crazy stuff. No,
Right,
no,
right, right.
the world will think you're crazy when you live a questionable life because you're
Uh-huh.
living contradictory to what the world looks like.
I'm writing that down. I like that. I'm gonna use that though for sure. But you know what you said your fear was though? You mentioned your fear in that article was that people are actually becoming more of a spectator if they're online. That's the fear, right? You said that's when we go into the point of the social
Yeah,
distancing.
yeah.
It's like, your fear is that, hey, we're seeing more attendance online, more people getting involved, but that's the scary thing. People may end up being more of a spectator rather than actually getting involved.
Well, it doesn't release people to do ministry. I think that my job as a minister, my job uh, as a pastor, I guess that's most socially acceptable. In Ephesians, it talks about the APES, the apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers, and so or shepherds and teachers. But our job is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. And again, the ministry isn't standing out in a parking lot telling where a car to go. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So the work of the ministry is equipping people to be able to make Jesus known to others. Everybody. It doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how educated or uneducated you are, doesn't matter how much money or lack of money you have. that is the work of the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So when all you have is people spectating and watching somebody else, look, I'm never going to preach like TD Jakes. I'm just not. But I don't need to preach like TD Jakes. I'm not going to preach like Stephen Furtick. I don't need to preach like Stephen Furtick. And sometimes we set people up and we make these personality cults out of these individuals. And, it gives people a false sense that I need to be like that. I need to be able to speak like that. No, be a good neighbor.
Right.
Be a good neighbor.
State Farm is there. But
State Farm.
Hey, State Farm ain't give me no money for that, so I'm gonna have to bleep that out. So
you know what I'm saying? But I'm just
be a good neighbor.
Just be a good neighbor. Be a decent human being. When you take your dog out, pick up the poop.
Mm-hmm,
your neighbors are watching. They go, wait a minute, that brother said he's a Christian, but he leaves his dog's droppings everywhere. No, bro. Even in that, we got to make sure that we are living lives that make people go, there is something different about Troy. And what is it? And it's
I like it.
Of those things.
Right. So that's a good thing to start bringing it to a close on that, because that's what we all should be doing. We all should be, as people as following Christ, right? Or the people that's actually doing the mission, the Great Commission. Mm-hmm. Like you said, people should be living a questionable life. I like that idea, living a questionable life, to say, man, there's something different about Sammy, man, or something different about Troy. What is it about, that person? I remember, and I'm going to end it off with this story here. So when I was playing football at Tennessee State, and I only walked on the football team, and sat on the bench because I wanted people to see. Well, first of all, I learned that people were better than me, right? But then I also wanted people to actually see that you can be, living for God, but then also, and don't have to preach somebody out the room, and just be yourself, right? You don't have to, that's what we're used to seeing. And then also be authentic about it, live a life that people like, man, something different. I want some of that. I want some of what he has. So one day I was sitting down on the sideline waiting to go in or do whatever, get on scout team or something. I don't know. And one of the coaches walked over to me and said, Troy, I can follow you. Out the blue. What do you mean you can follow me? What are you talking about? He said, well, Troy, I see how you respond to people. I see how you do things and how you carry yourself. That lets me know that you're somebody I can follow and, follow as they follow Christ. And he left. Wow. Like he just walked on. That right there made it all worth it. The whole grueling time being on there wanting to quit every day. The whole time of like saying, man, this is just not for me. Or me calling my pastor, calling Shino at the time, saying, hey, man, I'm about to walk, I'm about to quit. It all made it worth it. It's just like playing golf. Well, I don't know if you play golf or not, but, you can hit the ball all over the course and knock out somebody's window and hit somebody, hopefully not hit nobody with the ball. But do all that stuff and then you hit one birdie or a par and say, okay, I'm coming back.
Right.
And that right there made me feel good to say, okay, I'm coming back to practice the next day because I'm actually doing what I intended to do, or I was called to do, which you go out here and set an example. So you live a questionable life, man. I like it, man.
Bro, well, I'll tell you what, that was probably the purpose for which God had you on that field on the bench.
Right.
To be a witness of Jesus to a coach that said, wow, I can follow you. And so, a lot of times we don't give people the opportunity of being a witness because we've made them as spectators.
And that's all. It's true, man. I like it, man. That's Uncle Sammy right there, man. Sammy, how can we find you or follow you on your social medias? Get see some emails. How can we? Even though we're gonna put it on here, but tell us.
Right. Well, for me, I'm at Sammy Ortiz on Facebook, at Ortiz Sammy on Instagram. Somebody else they took my name on Instagram.
You that popular, man?
Whatever, bro. Yeah, Sammy's like John. John.
Yeah, like John.
but yeah, and then at Yes Cohort. That's YESCOHORT to follow Yes. And Restoration Church is at We Are Restoration. So follow all those if you want. And then as far as email is concerned, you can contact me on any of those handles. Because right now you can do direct messages and everything on Instagram and private messages on Messenger. So just feel free. All of that. And on those, on all of those, you will see links to our websites, whether it's Yes or Restoration Church. And so you can follow me that way if you'd like to.
Nice. Well, I forgot one thing before we go. So you got to tell me about the underground church thing. You said the underground. Tell me, I was like, what is it? Harriet Tubman them leading the church? What you talking about down there?
I am part of this movement. It's a microchurch movement called the Underground Network. and it is consistent of over 100 microchurches in the Tampa Bay area, and it's a movement to take it from macro to micro. That's the thing that I came up with last year. Micro is the new macro. That's not an underground thing. That's just my thing. But
did you get it? Yeah, you get that trademarked or something? You need to go ahead and do that.
I need to, bro, because other people are starting to use it after they see me use it. I'm like, look, brother, don't be biting like back in the days when we used to break dance. But the Tampa Underground again is a decentralized. In other words, nobody's telling you how you need to do church the way that God has told you to do it. In other words, this is a cookie cut. If you want to do, matter of fact, in the Underground Network, there is a lady that does hula hoop for Jesus. She takes
get out.
She takes hula hoops. She's gone all over the world. And while people are hula hooping, she is telling them about Jesus. And over 10,000 people have come to Jesus around hula hoops.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the church. Worship, community, and mission. But it's just done in a way. Nobody's telling you got to have fog machines, fake Shekinah glory, and skin jeans. You know what I'm saying? You can do it whatever way you want. And but the Tampa Underground is right here in Tampa. I am a part of them. I'm actually an elder at the Underground. And then I'm also a part of a traditional church style movement, which is called the Purge. So I'm still in both because it's not one size fits all. I'm not against traditional style church. I'm not. I don't think it's all that biblical, but I'm not against it. But but that's for another day.
Well, that's dope. That's dope. Well, look, y'all make sure y'all follow Uncle Sammy at the handles he mentioned. We're gonna have it in the description and stuff too. But then also go connect with the Underground Network. Get connected.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, we appreciate y'all listening, man. Thank y'all for being a part of the Noti Lounge. And remember, the true outcome of having a mindset of successful thinking is having an unwavering expectation of successfully achieving a predetermined goal, knowing that the outcome was supposed to happen. Mahalo.
Most moto.
That's it.